Russian propaganda in schools is wild. I came across photos of new history books of Russia. The current war with Ukraine is also mentioned in those books, and so I translated part of the chapter that is called Crisis Around Ukraine in 2022 and the Special Military Operation. Just listen to this nonsense. From the beginning of 2022 in the global and Russian politics, some big changes took place related to the crisis around Ukraine that opened a new page of history. Those changes are based on the desire of the US to keep its dominance in the moment when its economic, political, and moral positions were weakening while new centers of power emerged. The US has embarked on undermining positions of states that were able to challenge its hegemony. Among those states, the central stage in American doctrinal documents took Russia and China. While constantly increasing the pressure on our country, the US and its European vassals were advancing NATO military infrastructure to our borders, even though it is clearly forbidden by NATO-Russia Founding Act of 1997. New sanctions were imposed against Russia under far-fetched pretexts. The economic and informational war against Russia was never stopping. By far-fetched pretext, Russia means the occupation of Ukraine and Crimea and financing separatist movements in the Donbas region of Ukraine. Also, in the NATO-Russia Founding Act, it clearly says that Russia must respect the rights of countries for independent choice to ensure their security. Okay, let's keep reading this nonsense. The West used Ukraine as a striking force aimed against Russia. In those years of Poroshenko and Zelensky's presidency, Ukraine was under full external control of Washington. American and British military objects were placed on the territory of Ukraine, as well as NATO military instructors who were preparing it to conduct warfare against the Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republics and against our country. Western countries and local nationalistic groups were carrying out anti-Russian ideological indoctrination. They were making Nazis heroes and fascist marches became regular. Nazi criminals Bandera and Shuhevich were lauded as national heroes of Ukraine whose names were used to name streets. Neo-Nazi bandit formations Azov, Aidar, Donbas and others became part of the Ukrainian army. It was becoming the foothold for NATO to attack our country. During 8 years, with full approval by the West, they were shelling peaceful cities of Donbas and thousands of people were dying. Kiev demonstratively refused to complete the implementation of the Minsk agreement. In January of 2022, it came to Moscow's attention that the Ukrainian army, with support from the West, was planning to conduct a large-scale military operation to conquer Donbas and Crimea. Russia was forced to take preventive measures. Poor Russia. It was so lucky back then that it already had its forces close to Ukrainian border. What a coincidence, right? In the next few paragraphs, the author describes the beginning of the special military operation. It's mentioned that the goals of the operation were relieving DPR and LPR from everyday shelling, protecting their sovereignty, demilitarization, and denazification of Ukraine. None of that was successful for Russia. Also, it's interesting that they haven't mentioned that the main Russian force in this war were ex-convicts from private military company Wagner. They haven't said anything about attacking Kyiv, about leaving Kherson and most of the Kharkiv region, about Bucha, Irpin, about all war crimes committed and constant bombing of Ukrainian cities. As always, Russia plays the victim's card, while in reality it's the aggressor. Here's how this delusional chapter from school history book ends. It's not the first time our country has to fight against another contender for world domination. Russia always was emerging victorious after similar challenges, overcoming the power of the United West. It'll be like that this time as well. Our cause is right. Enemy will be defeated. Victory will be ours. It's so cringy that this country considers itself to be a dominant leader of the world. Hopefully children who will read this nonsense in school are smart enough to understand that someone is trying to manipulate their view of the world. And also I hope that this was insightful for you. Thanks for watching and for your support. I'll see you next time, and goodbye to you all.